And now we've come to the second part of our day, and we are looking into the panels that we will be having. We have 3 panels of discussion, and our first one will be looking at the available strategies for Africa's growth. And I have a panel that will help us explore this topic. And our first panelist is Ms. Fatima Ali Mohammed, and I will introduce her just a little bit, and she will take over and talk and speak on the topic that she's been given. And I just want to encourage you that as she is speaking, if you have a question, do put it on, and then she will tackle 1 or 2 questions that will be arising from what she'll be speaking on. And she is the founder and CEO of African Brand Warrior, chairperson of Agribusiness Sector and Association of Ghana Industries, a queen mother at the Royal Palace of Memia in Ghana, Africa Regional Director of Nations of Women in Ghana, president of the Women International Chamber of Commerce, India, and she is a board member at Cotton Board Ghana, representing AGI among the many prestigious titles she holds in various organizations. Ms. Ali Mohammed has a solid track record across African markets that lead her to change the from boots to heels when needed. And her passion is to create brands that make an impact on the end consumers and are tied to the social development of a nation. She supports and mentors young African girls in many charity and scale up women projects. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now give a warm welcome to Ms. Fatima Ali Mohammed.
Thank you very much for having me. And it's great to hear from you, Amanda, and obviously from Her Excellency Zanel. Good evening. I'm currently speaking to you from Cairo. I literally have a very short time with you because I promised Yolanda I would do this as I am flying back to Ghana. So I have limited time with you. I would have loved to stay for longer. So please forgive me. To my Kenyans and Tanzanians that are online, this is your Kenyan girl, Fatima, so habari zenu. Yeah, you can clearly tell, sitting in Cairo, coming from Kenya and living in Ghana, is just exactly what Her Excellency said, are such a Pan-African we're a continent. We are, it's all about the Ubuntu spirit and tribesmen. My conversation today is, I'm going to leave the whole conversation about women, to other days, because I just feel that as women, we have so much power and we keep using, words like empower. And I'm like, what are we being empowered with? When you talk about civilization, men were hunters, women were gatherers. And I keep saying this all the time. So whatever we are today is thanks to women, because civilization started by women. It means that the foods we eat, whatever's on our table, it is women who decided what was poisonous and what was not. So we thank women for that. I want to move this whole conversation away from women wanting to, I don't want to use the word fight for their rights, because we already have those rights. We don't need power. What we need to do is exactly what we're doing today, is to create a table where women come and sit. Okay, it's not about being given the opportunity to come and sit on a table. If you're not being given an opportunity, find another table, create another table, bring your own damn chair. This is what we need to do. So we need to start changing these narratives and these conversations, because I really want us to move away from this pity image that we've created for ourselves as women, so we need to take the next step. Now, my conversation today is moving away from what is it that we need to do? Because I feel there is so much talk going on in the world, but there is no action. And, I keep referencing this to, it was a friend I remember who raised this thing about NATO, which means no action, talk only. So we need to move away from just conversations and dialogues and, bringing our thoughts together. We need to start moving to action. And where do I see action coming in? The conversation for today, the topic for today is about the opportunities and strategies for growth for Africa, okay? So my challenge is to be able to paint the picture that we have on the continent for those living in the continent, those that are diaspora, and those that want to be able to do something with the continent from a trade perspective. One of the biggest opportunities that is facing us today and is also thanks to the pandemic, because I like to look at positivity a lot, is the African continental free trade. Now, what has this pandemic taught us? You know, there are two things that I say. One is that if any one of you is going to come out of this pandemic or lockdown, not having learned anything new, not coming up with a new skill, not having created a startup or an entrepreneurship program or collaborated with somebody, then it clearly shows that ignorance was the issue and not time, because we have set in with a lot of time, a year of lockdown, a year of working from home, a year of being closed in. It created the opportunity for us to do whatever we wanted to do. And problems are always the opportunity to create solutions, solutions coming from when there is a problem. So the question I need to ask, you know, those that are watching this, those that will watch this later, what have you really done with the time that has been accorded to you during this pandemic? Have you done something that has, you know, added value to you or added value within your network? The other area is that I keep emphasizing your network is your net worth. Okay, and I repeat that your network is your net worth. Who are you having within your circle? Who are the people that you intend to collaborate with? Because collaboration is going to be the next step for us. If we talk about the continental free trade right now, how many of you are sitting there with business plans or strategies or ideas of how you would be able to work in another African nation? We know the African Union passport is coming through. We know that all of a sudden now we can move, you know, very easily. We've seen a Burundi speaker, we've seen somebody from Zambia, you know, we're seeing people from South Africa, we're seeing, you know, people coming in from Ghana. So what are you looking at? What are the opportunities that you see that you can be able to work? And again, I bring the emphasis here in terms of collaboration. I've been looking at the chats, I've seen people giving in their contacts and name, but it's not just about putting your name and your email. Is anyone looking at the opportunity there straight away and saying, this is the person I want to be able to collaborate. This is the person I can be able to work with. So to be able to make a success, we need to understand that collaboration is the only way forward. We need to move away from this mentality of frog in a well, where we always look at, and this is something that we do as Africans, where we always believe that somebody else became successful in a shortcut way. We do not believe that somebody will have achieved whatever they needed to achieve through hard work, through success, you know, through sweat. So we need to find ways of how we can collaborate and do whatever we need to do to take us to the next level. Now, one of the big challenges that I'm seeing, so for example, if I look at where I'm based in Ghana, we are, you know, there are only two players right now that control 60% of the cocoa of the world, but we're not that great in terms of production of, you know, chocolates and chocolate drinks and stuff. East Africa is fantastic in terms of manufacturing. What can West Africa do with East Africa right now and say, hey, listen, I'm good at growing because, you know, Kenya cannot grow cocoa. So can we do something where I grow it, you manufacture it? The same way can Ethiopia say, hey, listen, we're fantastic, you know, at tanning and doing leather and everything leather. Let's look at the markets that produce the highest levels of leather and say, okay, we have excess. Can we send it to Ethiopia? So I'm giving you this from a perspective of a nation, but now we look at ourselves and say, what does my business in terms of what I'm doing as a strategist? I walk in Africa. I literally travel every week of the month. I'm in different markets within the continent building brands, because I believe one of the biggest challenges that we have in Africa right now is we become a dumping ground. We have a lot of stuff that is being dumped onto us, which is being used from the basis of because it's cheaper. We're getting substandard products. And this pandemic has clearly shown that one of the biggest blessings that we should be having is localization, okay? We have been so dependent on imports, and then all of a sudden, kaboom, ports were closed, you had no railway, you had nothing coming in, and all of a sudden, now you realize that, you know, you can't get, you know, like poultry, for example. I mean, some countries are importing chicken, some countries are importing toilet paper. And then all of a sudden you realize, hey, wait a second, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. So wait a second, we can create our own masks, we can create our own PPEs. All of a sudden we have chicken in our backyards giving us, you know, eggs. So what it's saying is that we had that, you know, can-do approach. We had that mindset and we were able to do it, but probably something along the way made us become a bit too complacent for us to feel that we need to continue to import. And this is what I want us to change our mindset and to understand that every time you spend $1, To import something, you're sending that dollar away and it's never coming back to you. But when you spend a dollar within your nation, within the continent, it rotates at least 8 times within the continent. So we need to change our mindsets. We need to change our thinking, and we need to start having an entrepreneurial mindset, and we need to start looking at the perspective of collaboration. I want us to know that how can we create our tables, and how can I have each and every one of you on that table, each one bringing in whatever your strength is. Let me be able to come in and, you know, collaborate in an area where you're stronger, or, you know, where I'm weaker, somebody else comes in and helps me, and this is what we do. So, I mean, I know that I had 10 minutes. My role today was to basically change perceptions, you know, get an opportunity for us to open our minds and be able to look at things from that perspective of, we can do it. There is an opportunity. Let us be able to start changing the narratives. Let us move away from the pity party. Let us start seeing what are the things that we can do together. And the Continental Free Trade is coming. Are you ready? That's a question you need to ask yourself, and let us see what you can do. Thank you very much for the time, and congratulations on the launch of Africa. Africa is the continent. It is the place to be. And you know, for anyone that is outside Africa, we welcome you. We are the continent with land, you know, with continent with sunshine, you know, for 365 days a year, and we have mangoes going through. So we look forward to welcoming you to Africa.
Thank you so much, Fatima. Just before you go, there's a question that came through, and that's from Jacquelyne Conley. She says, what about the women in countries like Cameroon who are being killed for trying to speak up for their rights and are instead forced to flood and fight? So perhaps they won't be able to, you know, do the things that you've suggested, to come together, to be a force to be reckoned with, to unite. What do you say to that?
So let me, I mean, for my Cameroonians, well, my best friend is a Cameroonian, and sadly, she is also having to operate out of France because she can't work out of Cameroon, and has had to ship her kids, you know, of 5 and 9 and 11 to Congo to be with the husband. So I totally understand, and I empathize with a lot of women who are in situations, but I'd like us to understand that there's always a way out. And why do I say this? I'm in Cairo this week. 2 weeks ago, I was in Kenya. 3 weeks before that, I was in Senegal. And the week before that, I was in Rwanda. And I'll tell you very quickly, in Senegal, in 2 days, I flew down, I remember on a Friday, I flew out on Monday. In 2 days, I went into 8 counties, the poorest of the poorest. If I tell you, I mean, if you follow me on LinkedIn, or, you know, you have me on Facebook, you will actually see videos that I posted of me crying, and I never do that. And these were women who have not seen meat for the last 3 years. They haven't even tasted meat. They eat leaves from carrots and potatoes. Okay, the only thing that grows there is baobab. That's it. It's a barren land. And to be able to see what they're doing, I go in, because apart from the other hats that I wear in terms of building brands, is I go in and I work with women, you know, because I believe collaboration works. And why did I use that collaboration? And again, it's an example for Cameroon. There are things that you can do, whether it's 2 women, 5 women, 4 women, in your own space, in your home, that you can be able to work on and do it online. You know, e-commerce has become such a wonderful space to be able to execute things. It doesn't have to be something that you can sell. You can actually sell stories. You know, I keep saying that every time I leave home, I'm carrying an invisible suitcase of stories, you know? So you could be sitting in Cameroon right now, and you have stories to talk about. You have issues that are hampering you as women. Why can't you be able to create a podcast, for example? Why can't you be able to create a channel of women that come out and start talking about the challenges and the issues that you face? Obviously, I know that people will come knocking down your doors to find you. You may do it incognito. It doesn't have to be done from the perspective where you show your face. Why don't you use WordPress, you know, to be able to create? The idea is to start telling stories, and those stories can convert into something bigger and also become a channel of, you know, monetary value. So I believe any situation that we get thrown into actually brings in something that we can do with it. It can be to create a better life for the future. It can be to be able to create noise levels for the situations that we're put in. And also it can be, you know, a situation to be able to take us to the next level. I mean, I'll tell you very quickly, Amanda, and for the women that are sitting here, if I told you my story, I mean, if you go online and Google me, you'll probably find a lot of things. I've gone through a brutal divorce. I have been kicked when I was pregnant with my child. I've had a head-on collision with my daughter in my tummy, only to be told, when are you coming home to cook? I have had a brain stroke and been paralyzed. I have been checked in for cancer. I've had to carry my dad to the point where he dropped his weight to 23 kgs. That's the weight of my suitcase, you know? So what I've learned in life is that every time I fall, I stand up stronger, you know? And that's why I started with this conversation, that I'm not saying that we shouldn't pity ourselves, but we need to change the narrative. We need to start looking at how can we take the negatives that are surrounding us and convert it into some positivity.
Wow, thank you so much. That's very powerful indeed. How can we take the negatives that are surrounding us and turn them into something positive? Very, very powerful. Thank you so much, Fatima, for that presentation and for your time. And I'm just going to share a few comments that came from the chat. And Emma in Tanzania says, we now need to act, and all our meetings and gatherings should be actionable and not just talk anymore. I couldn't agree more, because we can have these forums and the sessions and we talk and talk. If we don't implement, if we don't turn those things that you're talking about into action, then we're not going to achieve anything. And Bulelwa says there's strength in unity through collaboration. Beautiful indeed. And I love what you said, that we should stop fighting for a seat at the table. We have the power to create and set up our own table, and through collaborations, we'll be able to achieve just that as African women. Thank you so much, Fatima. And now it's time for us to move on to the next speaker under the same panel, and that is Wambui Njora. Please pardon me if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, and you will just correct me. And Wambui is the CEO and a founder at Extra Dimensions Company Limited. And over to you. We can move on to Farouk if Wambui cannot hear us at the moment and cannot share. She will then come after Farouk. So Farouk is the CEO of Premium Africa Holdings, an Africa-focused investment holding company with assets and projects in Ghana, Liberia, Gambia, Sierra Leone, and the UAE. His company partnered with musician Akon for his Akon Lighting Africa project in Liberia. And Mr. Kailan is an advisor to offices of 5 African presidents and holds a number of international appointments. He's the SG at the Global Chamber of Business Leaders International Partner at the World Angel Business Investment Forum, founding director at the Global Wealth Council, and executive director at the Rural Africa Road Fund. And he was named by the West Africa Leadership Development Center as one of the top 10 emerging leaders in West Africa. Mr. Kailan was awarded the Order of the Noble Hand of Honor by the Pan-African Leadership and Entrepreneurship Development Center in September 2019, alongside the Vice President of Liberia. And so I'm gonna ask you, Mr. Farouk Kailan, to take to the stage and share on your topic. And then after that, we will go back to Wambui.
Thank you very much, moderator. Like you said, my name is Farouk Kailan. I want to commend everybody who is part of this forum. I want to congratulate founder Ragni for this wonderful initiative. And also we want to say thank you for considering Africa. You are welcome to Africa. This is a continent that has immense potential. The people are serious. We are hungry for opportunities. And I'm sure Yolanda has shown you that, yes, indeed, when the opportunities are created for Africans, we are ones that carry and run away with it. I'm really excited the fact that I've seen women here, achievers who have done quite a lot for themselves. I'm a beneficiary of inspiration from women. My great-grandmother was an entrepreneur. My grandmother was an entrepreneur, and my mother is an entrepreneur. So I'm used to the conversation about women creating their own table for others to join. And I've seen my great-grandmother done that. My mother is also doing that. So it's a space that I'm quite familiar with. I'm quite familiar with women power, and I know what women can achieve when indeed the opportunities are created and presented to them. I would like to go on straight to what I'm here to talk about opportunities in Africa. Yes, indeed, Africa is a continent to watch. We've shown great potential when it comes to working class. We have the highest number of working age. We will surpass China in a couple of years. I think in the next 5 years. We've shown potential in renewable energy. We've also shown that yes, when it comes to digital economic growth, we're forced to reckon with. Particular reference to what Kenya is doing with M-Pesa. So for me, I'm here to re-echo the importance of technology in terms of creating the right strategies for Africa for us to maximize our potential. By virtue of my shareholding privilege and my senior vice president role at EasyPay, I see how technology is really, changing how Africa's growth trend is. EasyPay is a money remittance company. We allow people living outside Africa to be able to remit monies to their families. We are in 10 African countries, and we're in Liberia. We're launching Liberia soon to make it 11. So yes, I'm heavy in the technology space, and I know what technology can do. We seem to be trying to find our way, understand the Internet of Things, the important role industrialization 4.0 can play in advancing our development. We need to embrace technology. If a typical example is mobile money. When mobile money came to the continent, we were not quite sure. Africa is said to be very slow when it comes to embracing technology. But yes, when it comes to penetration of mobile money, Africa is leading that conversation. M-Pesa has done so well. Other, mobile money platforms in other African countries are also doing very, very, very well. So we have shown that yes, when technology is presented to us, is able to solve our problems, especially when we don't have our infrastructure situation is not the best. Technology in terms of remitting money, transfer money from one point to the other, mobile phones has come in strongly and it's allowed us to be able to do that. We should embrace technology. Blockchain is also here. Blockchain, for me, my call is for anything that has to do with, in terms of qualitative or quantitative, managing of information is something that we should embrace. Corruption is one of the things that is really, really troubling the continent in terms of our development. Is keeping our development at a snail pace. And for us to be able to solve this issue of corruption, blockchain is one technology that will enable us to be able to do it, because it allows us to trace movement in terms of movement of fund, and from one point to other, there's a proper, traceability channel for us to be able to, yes, monitor how funds are moved from one point to the other. So once we embrace technology, like I said, when we embrace the concept of mobile money, we've seen the benefits. So we shouldn't hesitate when it comes to technology. The conversation is rife. We should appreciate the fact that yes, Africa has the numbers. We through the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, we've created a 1.2 billion market, and it's one that technology will allow us to be able to maximize on. So I am here to actually call on women to embrace technology as a soft skill that will enable them to be able to solve most of their problems, and they should interrogate the architecture of technology, how they can apply in their daily activities, and also be creative. Through innovation, we are able to solve problems, IT in itself. I'm in business because I'm solving opportunities. And once we solve opportunities, the financial gratification that is attached to these opportunities comes to us. And we are able to change our circumstances financially, mentally, and to be able to impact on our immediate, surroundings. So technology is here. I encourage African women to embrace it. We should interrogate it. We should be curious about it. For me, whatever it is that Twitter has seen in about Africa Google has seen in Africa, Facebook has seen in Africa. It's about the numbers. Africa is never taken out of the growth strategy for this technology giants. And it tells us that indeed, yes, Africa is a force to reckon with. We have the numbers, and technology is about numbers. It's once you're able to maximize on the numbers, you're able to make some very good financial return from it. So we have the numbers. Over a billion population is not a population to play with. We should lace our boots. We should carry the women along, and women have proven that yes, they have what it takes to play a role in Africa's growth, economic growth agenda. So for me, it's creating opportunities for women in the technology space. For us as Easy Pay, we are doing that. We are launching the Easy Women campaign, where we try to train women in coding across countries that we operate in. Once we train these women in this coding, we create opportunities for them to be able to solve problems, use technology to solve these problems, and indeed, you realize that all these country activities is going to dovetail into one major impact for the continent. So I will end here with my consistent call for embracing technology, and it's one that will help us to solve our problems in Africa. And the call again for women to actively play a role in using technology to solve our problems. So thank you very much for the opportunity. And indeed, you chose a good day for this forum, which is Africa Day. And I'm happy that women are chartering the course in terms of celebrating the strength of the world, which is Africa. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much for that presentation, Mr. Farouk Kailan. And you mentioned something very important, that Africa is slow in embracing technology. And I'm glad that there are some initiatives that you're taking to empower women to embrace technology. But how do you think that we can address this issue, this challenge of Africa being slow in embracing technology?
Well, it's about creating the right opportunities through education. What you realize is that the issue of financial inclusion on Africa has been significantly solved through technology. People, the fact that families in rural areas are embracing the concept of mobile money in terms of receiving money, and it comes to the call, it comes to the conversation about money. And in the office, the conversation is always exciting, and we laugh about it, that when it became important that money is involved in technology, mobile money, you realize that yes, Africa has really embraced it. It tells you that yes, there's a major concern in income gap. So we need to find smart ways to involve, to ensure that Africa embrace technology. Once we sell the story, the success story of technology in terms of money concept, you realize that people will embrace it. Once you're able to use technology, you present opportunities in the technology space to women and to African youth, to everybody on the continent, you realize that yes, indeed, we are quick to embrace it. So it's about being smart and being creative with, and deliberate about how we present the technology conversation to Africa's populace. And I'm sure definitely for us as Easy Pay, every day we are finding ways to ensure that we push the agenda of embracing technology and policy. African policy direction can also inform, how we embrace technology. Ghana is showing leadership in that space. Our vice president is showing leadership. You realize that we are trying to digitize our economy. We're trying to make it difficult for you to avoid technology. So policy direction is very important when it comes to Africans embracing technology, and we'll be able to see some significant, progress in that space when we are very creative with our approach.
Thank you very much. I couldn't agree with you more. African policy direction, very, very important indeed in addressing the issue of Africa being slow in embracing technology. Thank you very much for your time. If Evelyn Wambu-Njura is ready, it's over to you, Miss. The floor is yours.
Okay, fantastic. My name is Wambu-Njura. I am the CEO and founder of Extra Dimensions Company Limited, a business that has been operating for the last 21 years. And I'm also here I'm happy to be invited. Yolanda did a great job of getting me here. One of the things that, aside from running my business, I'm passionate about is the SDGs. I sit in the local network of the Global Compact here in Kenya. And I think when we are talking about women, I remember when I started my business registration had to have my husband's name. So I was Wamboi Njora, wife of John Njora. But a lot has changed. And I think I really resonate with the other speakers who talked about we need to stop complaining now and get to work. So this is what we have done at Extra Dimensions. We have found that mentorship really works. I myself went through mentorship, and when I was diversifying my business, we had been predominantly in the events industry, which we continue to be very, very strong in. And one of our one of our clients went full throttle to support women. And in order for me to take advantage of those opportunities, I had to diversify. And I went through mentorship. And today I can tell you, I have entered into a fantastic, division in engineering, an area that I did not have any idea. I was not trained to be an engineer, and I'm not an engineer. But the principles of any business are the same. Any business you run, whether you are selling bananas by the roadside, whether you are selling, have you ever had anyone selling to you anything on the roadside and they were rude? You'd never feel, happy about that. So the principles of running a business are the same. You have to operate above board. You have to make sure your customers are happy. So that means a lot of dedication, follow through, and without relenting. Now, then COVID has come. I can tell you, I sit in the advisory board of EMAC, which is Event Managers Association of Kenya, and all our members are practically doing nothing. There is no business, because then events are driven by people meeting, they are driven by people coming together. And we have had to reconstruct our businesses to merge with the technology that has come in. And within the association, we have done a very, very in-depth, research to see, even in the future, what is the future for events? And today, our customers are saving money big time. They are not hiring a tent, they are not hiring anything apart from using technology. So what do you do as a business, as a woman who is impacted by such an occurrence that is worldwide? It did not choose anyone, it did not choose any area, but everything will change. Some people benefit, some people do not benefit. But if you are impacted, what do you do to diversify your business? So what is important for women in business to learn is to be able, what Fatima said, when you're knocked down, wake up and look for other opportunities. And they are there. They are amazing. They are there. All you need is to just, go back look at how you will restructure, take advantage of technology now. If you look at what is going to happen with the Africa Free Trade now, I mean, we can do business across borders without ever even meeting each other physically. So when you talk about Africa Free Trade, there's a lot of work that needs to go in there because every country has got their own, policy. So there's a lot of policy changes. So we need to drive and be the driver for that change, so that if, for example, even when you look at events, I can be in Nairobi and I will partner with someone in South Africa, I'll partner with someone in Accra. I mean, so the same is with business. But then when you talk about financing, even when you're diversifying, when you're looking for, opportunities out there, I think financing has been a never-ending topic. It has been a never-ending topic, and I think I am yet to find one entity that can actually resolve anyone's financial needs. So you need to look for partners across, your networks who can actually help you cross over at the time of your need. So we have started an initiative at Extra Dimensions that we call She is Extra, Root for Her, which actually concentrates on connecting women with finance at the time of their need. At this moment, most businesses are in trouble, whether it's financially or however you may look at it. People are back in their taxes, they have not paid their taxes on time. So then how do you keep your business running and afloat to take you over to, this next, there's a next phase after COVID. So where will you be at that time, connecting with the rest of Africa, and just designing and coming up with different ideas that are going to grow your company, grow your country, and the rest of Africa. And I think the most fortunate thing that has happened for women are the SDGs. The SDGs are actually now on everybody's table. Everybody's talking about the SDGs, which actually promote equality, eradication of poverty, the care for the environment. You name it, we have it there. Green cities, smart cities, everything that we can talk about that will elevate our world and provide equality, provide, even when you talk about anti-corruption, it is there within the SDGs. When you talk about, child labor, everything is there on those, the 17 global. But if we are going to achieve the 17 SDGs by 2030 as targeted, we still have a lot of work. That is less than 10 years now. Less than 10 years, we are 9 years in. So we need to stop talking. We need to get to work. And one of the things that I always advocate for, what are you doing? Stop waiting for someone else to come up and tell you this is the way. What are you doing? Even just within the SDGs, there are SDGs that you can practice within your company, within your process, that will not cost you anything. Talk about equality, even in your supply chain, in your, employment process. If you are intentioned, you can actually achieve those. Start by that and then continue increasing that, continue looking. If you own, if you are a manufacturer, how do you dispose of your, waste? That is you can work with waste disposal management companies that are there. They will pick your waste for nothing, and follow the process to ensure that they're also disposing it in a responsible way. So each of us, and I think this conversation cannot be had without men. We can't, it's not an issue of segregating ourselves and saying now it's us women who will achieve this. We cannot have the conversation without men because they are there, they are decision makers wherever you may look, in policy, in the supply chains, they are there, and we need them. We need them to help us achieve our goals for women. So for me, what is important is to realize that you yourself, what do you stand for? You may not do everything right. You may not get everything right. But if you have finance, one person may be good in PR, one person may be good, whatever it is, collaborate. And this is the last SDG, the 17th SDG is about, cooperation, working together for good. That is very, very important because hardly will you ever get anything achieved without working with others who are near and far. Learn from the people who've been there before, and that is why I talk about mentorship. Get a coach, get a mentor for everything.
Oh, we're struggling to get you. There's connection problems.
Every aspect of your life. Get a business. Is it better now?
Yes, much better.
Amanda,
now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, okay, I can hear you.
Sorry about that. So connect and get mentorship from people who are knowledgeable, people who can lead you in the right direction, people who can advise you. Women, please don't sign a contract if you do not understand, just for the sake of winning some business. Seek for proper advisement, so that even when you're getting into the, I have seen women who've started businesses, sole proprietorship, and they stay like that because they had no one to show them, they had no one to, learn from. But there are women who are there for you, or men. Mentorship does not necessarily have to come from one particular gender. It is cross-border. I also get a lot of learning from my children. They teach me, and be ready, be open, and whatever position you are in life, please let us understand that there is always something to learn. So don't get to a stage where in your life you are successful and then you're not listening to people. Always be ready, to learn something new. There's always something new. And finally, as I finish, my passion for women and the youth, I am very, very patient with anyone. I do not turn anyone away. Anyone who needs any type of help, even if I don't know, I will try and connect them with someone who does. So if we can all get to a position, and this takes a lot of, it will take your time, it will take a lot of sacrifice, but I think if we are well-meaning, we can all do it. So thank you so much. Yolanda, Amanda, and Sinika for starting, this and inviting us for this conversation. It is a conversation that needs to be had today, tomorrow, and every day, because then that way we elevate our continent and we elevate our world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wambui, for that presentation. And you mentioned something that's very important, that during these times of COVID, businesses have been forced to rethink how they do business, to come up with other ways of making profit. And I do understand that your company is also big on events through some of your involvement in Safaricom, for instance. And what are some of the practical ways that you had to look for other opportunities in order for you to stay in business?
Okay, as I said, when COVID hit, I had to think very fast, very, very fast. And probably for those of us who are Safaricom partners, we were lucky because they had really, really pushed the women agenda and supporting that, genuinely by even changing their policy, by reducing some of the requirements for women to come on board and participate. However, it was still very challenging because you had to prove yourself. It was not tokenism. It has taken me, actually, let me say I started this journey before COVID, but when COVID hit, it gave me now the push, to go for these opportunities. But even to pre-qualify in some of those areas, it has taken me more than 3 years, just to get it going. So what I did is to form very strong partnerships. As I said, I am not an engineer, but the rules of business are the same. So anyone, any woman, you can form partnerships, get strong partnerships from, whether they're international or local, who can support, your business to deliver to the client. And I can say up to now, my clients have been happy when we diversified into power, into renewable energy and telecommunication. Right now, we are doing some substantial projects for Safaricom in fiber, and we have deployed about 17 solutions to their different sites, and it is working very well because I follow the same principle as I did when I was, very, very big in events, that the customer comes first. The client must be happy. So your solution must also be cost effective, which of course any supply chain will look for. They will not give you work because simply you are a woman and you have said you can do this and that. You also have to be competitive. And there is no supply chain that does not look at cost. So, I mean, the field is there. We may think it is unfair sometimes, but that is how it is. But you also have to go on another level to prove to your client that you have the capability. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There's a question, she's extra, root for her, and Bumi says she likes it. And I would ask you to just leave some details on how people can get more information on that, because she says she'd like to know more about it. And I just want to acknowledge the comment that comes from Estelle. She says that what you are saying about contracts is very, very true. When you are desperate, you are a bad negotiator. And she says, as an attorney, I often see the most horrific contracts. It does not have to be difficult, but must manage expectations. Thank you very much. Your presentation has been very, very effective.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was Wambui Njura. And now we move on to our last panelist for this session. And her name is Valerie. I believe it's Gian. It's Afrikaans, you'll correct me if I'm wrong. And she has multidisciplinary experience and professional qualifications in social work, education, and sustainable development, with a substantive career in promoting strategy and implementation of energy efficiency and response to climate change. So while she was head of climate and energy at the National Business Initiative, she worked extensively with various stakeholders, including relevant government departments, the private sector, international organizations, and donor agencies as a catalyst towards a low carbon and green economy. Among various awards, she received the Women in Energy Efficiency Award from the Department of Energy in 2017. And I must mention this part that she joined the United Nations Industrial Development Organization in 2017 as a senior advisor for industrial energy efficiency, low carbon transport, and the global clean tech programs. She is currently UNIDO's national coordinator for the economic empowerment of women in green industry in South Africa. A warm welcome to Ms. Valerie Geen.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. For me, it's good evening, and happy Africa Day. And thank you very much to the invitation from Yolanda. Thank you for the words of inspiration from Ragnar. I must say, Ragnar, when you started out, you spoke about the stars being aligned. Well, I couldn't agree with you more, because I think, you know, the timing is right for us to be talking about women and where women fit into the world and claiming the rightful space in the world. And actually, as much as COVID-19 has been a disaster for many of us, it also has been something to open our eyes to those new opportunities. I've got a presentation, it's just one slide, because I thought it would help to just focus your mind. I'm going to also leave you with the link to a report, because one of the things that was mentioned during the conversation was the need for research. So we've just completed a piece of research. We haven't made all the research available, but you are going to get, the link will take you to a synthesis of the research we've done. And I'm going to talk about that shortly. I just want to open my screen and share that with you. So what I want to just say is, first of all, just as Amanda said, thank you, Amanda, for your introduction. I am the National Coordinator for South Africa for what's called the Economic Empowerment of Women in Green Industry. I unfortunately cannot take you through all the details that I'd love to share with you, but I'm going to touch on a few very basic things and draw on what I've heard all of you say. I need to also just say that this is a global program run by UNIDO. And besides South Africa, we also had Senegal, Cambodia, and Peru participating in the project. And what I'm going to be taking you through are strategies that are really the findings based on the research that we've done. And as I say, that's the report that you're going to get a copy of through the link that's on the last slide. I think listening to everyone speaking today, people are obviously at the center of everything. And if I pick up on the words of Ragnar when she started out, I think she was really advocating for women to take your destiny into your own hands. And I think that's been the communication I've heard from several speakers. So as people, as women, and as young women, you hold the key to unlock your own door. But of course, there are other forces at play that either impact on you positively or negatively. And while you'd like to take destiny into your own hands, it's very important to take cognizance of the things happening around you as you chart your journey, either as a professional, or as an owner, as a decision maker, or as an entrepreneur. And these are by no means exhaustive, the list that I've given you, but climate change is one of them. And especially as the African continent, some of you know that as South Africa, we're big emitters. So that informs what kind of business we get involved in and where the opportunities lie. But we are also sometimes victims of the problems of climate change, such as water scarcity, problems with agriculture, that inform basically what businesses will succeed and not succeed. And so when we talk about technology, it's not just technology for technology's sake. It's how do we interact with technology to either save us, improve us, or promote efficiencies and effectiveness in the business that we are doing. And when Farouk was talking about technology earlier, I was thinking that technology spans so many areas, whether you're talking about event management, whether you're talking about selling your tomatoes, whether it's about deciding when to plant, whether it's about being involved in waste management. Technology is just so broad that, as the one of the visions of the Women's Association is, it is about education. Which technology for what purpose to solve what problem? And then I'm not going to go through all of them. I've heard the word collaboration mentioned a lot. I've heard you talk about the Africa Free Trade Agreement. That's just one of them. Resources, I think, has made South Africa, or Africa rather, quite an important player. And it's going to be even increasingly more of an important player as to what do we do with this rich endowment of resources that we have at our fingertips to take us into this new green economy that we're looking at. We have lots of minerals, we have lots of natural resources, but if we don't know how to use them or how to take advantage of them or what opportunities they present to us, we might miss the boat. So my key message, I think, to everyone is to take note of that circle. That circle changes. Every now and then technology might prevail, climate change might prevail. You've got to read the weather as to which of these particular areas that are put into that circle are the drivers for your transformation in your country or your village or your city. Based on the findings of the research report that we've conducted, one of the things that, because I've heard you talk about taking destiny into your own hands, but I think apart from taking destiny into your own hands, we have to also accept that we live in a global village. We have governments, we have policies, we have regulations, we have trade barriers, we have trade opportunities. All of these things decide whether we succeed or fail. So our starting point in the program that we've run on the economic empowerment of women in green industry has been to look at what are the policies that support, and any of the policies for that matter, but specifically those that speak to moving to a greener, more resource efficient economy. And what we found in all 4 countries that we've worked in is that gender, much as we've signed conventions starting from 1940s already, looking to gender equality, we found that there are still many gaps in our policies, that some policies don't even have the word women mentioned in them, or empowerment. And so our partners, which include government in particular, have looked at the need to either add those aspects to their policies or even reformulate. And as I said to you earlier, the stars have aligned in a sense, because with the global pandemic, many countries are having to reformulate their policies, relook at whether their business models or their focuses on particular sectors are still relevant or not. So it's just the right time to actually look at, how do you think about women from the beginning? How do you ensure that they have seats at the table, they are informing the policy decisions, that their needs are taken care of, and that they are part and parcel of reshaping and rebuilding the economy of the future? Communicating the vision. Now, as far as the World Women's Conference goes, you've communicated your vision. But if we're talking about a green economy or green industry, we found in our research that not everyone was on the same page in understanding what they meant by a green industry or a green economy. And so for us, it's an important thing for us to get educated. It's a role we can play based on some of the work we've done, but it's also a role that you yourselves can play in educating yourselves about what is a green economy, what is green industry, what is the way forward that our different governments are planning to ensure that we use resources economically. And some of you will have heard the word circular economy, that we don't just throw things away, but we reuse them. They become our new resources, which requires all kinds of new skills for us to keep our economies going. Another important finding of our research, and it's an important strategy area that I'm proposing, is that we need to improve our disaggregation, particularly of sex disaggregated data. What we found in our research was that we don't know where women are. And even if we do know where they are, we don't know what kinds of challenges they're experiencing. We don't know whether they are high up in the hierarchy of the business or not. There just isn't enough data to inform policy making, to inform how we make our investment decisions. And so whether you are running your own business, or whether you are part of policy making, or whether you're part of a much more bigger multinational conglomerates, the importance of getting data of all kinds of information on women that will help determine the future of women, and your own future for that matter, is important. And in whatever role you can play, either to supply that data or to ensure that women, you can count them, and not just count them as in numbers, but count them in terms of their active participation and contribution to whatever the business or the social contribution they're making to society. That is important. And then, I've heard again speakers talk about opportunities. So yes, we believe there are lots of opportunities, and we certainly hope that with the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, there will be many opportunities available to us. If we start talking more about localization of our industries, there will be more opportunities available to us. But it's not enough to just speak blanketly about opportunities. We do need to get to the nitty-gritty of what exactly those opportunities are. And I'll give you a quick example. In South Africa, for example, we've spoken about opening up the market to creating energy through, for example, small power generation. Now, it's important that if you aren't part of the normal discussions, as women, you need to know where exactly and what exactly those opportunities are. Are they for a certain threshold of power generation? Who do you need to bring on board? What kind of finance do you need? Which geography do you need to be located in to access that opportunity? You need a lot more detail. And so it's not enough just to say there's opportunities. We really need to actually spell them out. And that's part of what we are promoting in our work with government here in South Africa and the other countries I've mentioned. I've heard our previous speaker talk about finance, and I agree that we've spoken, one can actually kill the discourse around finance, but I think here we need to be talking now about innovative solutions. And sometimes those innovative solutions are about going back to what we did in the past. So if we had communal ways of financing things, if we had traditional ways of financing things, and it's not always about money, it might be how do we pool our various resources that equal money. But we definitely need to talk about access, a solution that puts all these things together. Once you've identified the opportunities, how do you access and where do you access the finance? And then I'm coming to my last 2 points. Promoting access to markets. So I'm going to use the example of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. I think we look with great promise and expectation to accessing different markets on the continent, apart from other countries. But I think it's also important to know how easy or difficult it is to access. How many hurdles does one have to cross to access those markets? Are there any other kinds of trade barriers? Are there forms to be filled in? How long does it take to actually move that business along? And then finally, building capacity. I think this is a strong element of this organization. I forgot actually to start by congratulating you. So let me, before I end, say congratulations to this effort. And I would believe that an important part of this work is about building capacity. Whether it's just sharing information or whether it's showing how to do something, how people can access finance if that's the problem, or how people can become more confident to be able to market the product or the service that they are offering. And I'd like to use the word network in different ways. We can use it as a noun to say this is a hub, it's a place where we all come to get knowledge and to share ideas. But I think it's also important to use it as a verb, to say that beyond just leaving our business cards, we actively pursue an opportunity that we see. And you can even use it as an adjective to describe a networked community. So you have scientists in the same room, you have governments in the same room, you have business people in the same room, so that you know what the most current happenings are, occurrences are, to take you forward. And with that, I'd like to just forward to the last slide, which is a copy to our report. I will cut and paste it and put it on the chats as well. But if you look at that report, it will give you an idea, not just of the few recommendations I've made here, but many, many more of what, based on the research of talking to women, entrepreneurs, professionals, as well as government in the 4 countries I've mentioned, they are quite a resource in themselves, sets of recommendations that I'd like you to look at and consider which ones are applicable to you and which ones you could talk to your own government or your own industry associations to help advance your cause. Thank you very much, Amanda, and to the audience.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Valerie, for that presentation. And of course, if you have more information, for the sake of time, we won't be able to be taking questions, or I won't be posing any questions, but Valerie will share the link on the chat so that you can be able to get all the information that you need, and perhaps her email address as well. And if you have any questions that you'd like to ask her, feel free to do that. I'm sure you'll agree with me that we need a little bit of some entertainment right now. And I will head over to Bulelwa to give us an item. And Bulelwa is the founder of a Lyrical Basse project. Take it away, Sisi.
We are the same in every language, beautiful strangers almost in romance, river crossing toward callings of our sympathetic resonance. With each uninterrupted thought, we stand a chance at getting it together. With every soul selling, we peep halfway into sunset as we collect souvenirs in moments of things impulsive. We dare not the hand of fate but master it, defy odds of adversity, brave faces at wartime, lay our lives beyond resounding acclaim, and so we reprise taking the plunge. We are the same in every language, beautiful strangers almost in romance, river crossing toward callings of our sympathetic resonance. With each uninterrupted thought, we stand a chance at getting it together. With every soul selling, we peep halfway into sunset as we collect souvenirs in moments of things impulsive. We dare not the hand of fate but master it, defy odds of adversity, brave faces at wartime, lay our lives beyond resounding acclaim, and so we are world women of Africa.